today we hope that we inspire you to start your own business one day with vertical farming. Actually, Marco, our speaker, I'm sure that he will inspire you. Marco has dedicated his career to exploring innovative ways to grow more plants in urban areas, and his passion for eco-friendly agricultural practices has earned him recognition as a thought leader in the industry. And he will be talking about ways to grow more plants in urban areas today. Yes, so I give the word to Marco.
Cool, thank you for the invitation. Let me share my screen so you can see some cool urban farming images.
Thank you again for this really nice presentation. And I'm sure we have some questions around. Just want to recap like a little bit again about the project. This is a project that intends to enhance the soft and hard skills of entrepreneurship, especially in youth, in regards to vertical farming. This project is called Echoing Plus. It's youth learn how to turn the ambitious climate change into an opportunity. And we are doing this project with other partners from France, Greece, Turkey, Portugal, the Netherlands, and also in Austria. And I see that in the participants, there's a few of our partners here. And now we open the floor. Maybe anybody has a question you'd like to ask?
I can ask.
Oh, yeah, because I cannot see hands. So please go ahead.
Thank you, by the way. I saw the future in your presentation, really. I really like it. My question is, what do you think about what are some of the biggest challenges you see in vegetable production and vertical farming in the cities, the main cities? Because in my opinion, it is like there are some situations such as air pollution or carbon emissions can negatively affect this opportunity, this fact, let's say. Yeah. As I know, there are some legal, how can I say, legal regulations that local bodies doing right now, but I don't know if it is enough for you or not. This is my question.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge I would say is to find a good space where you can grow and also get your stuff in and out. So I have seen some rooftop farms that only have one entry, which is a very small elevator. And sometimes they had to put materials on the roof, and saw that putting everything through this elevator is close to impossible, like water. so you need to have all these preconditions. With regards to pollution, of course, I would protect my plants, but usually inside the urban area, you have a more stable climate. It's warmer. You have a lot of CO2, which your plant needs. So in professional horticulture, you actually fertigate CO2. But then if you really go to 1,000 ppm, you need to know what you're doing, irrigation, nutrients, and the radiation that you put on the plant to absorb all this needs to be perfect. If something's odd, you wreck the whole the whole yield. Yeah, did I answer this question?
Yes. And do you think that it is enough that legal regulations are for prevent this negative situation?
Yeah, of course you have to clarify if you can put a farm on a certain spot. So this is always in the US. I know you have this zoning where you cannot have an apartment in an area where you actually have office space, and this is also for other purposes of buildings. So you need to know about this. But what is usually the challenging thing is sometimes people who rent the office space or the area or the rooftop are not the owners of the building. So you need to clarify with all of these parties and with the city council if it's allowed to be done there. and this is a challenge, yeah. So it's not supposed, you're not supposed to do this because it's super complicated. But if you go through this and you have some examples in your city, this might be inspiring also for others who will probably contact you and ask you how you did it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your answer.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from our participants?
Yes, I have question. Thank you so much, Marco.
go.
It was amazing,
Sure.
the presentation. You mentioned here, thank you for being inspired. And what really inspired you to start this until you built Aquaponics, and what is the biggest challenge and how you solve it?
Oh, at the moment, my biggest challenge is that I am just a one-man show, basically. So I started this as a side project, and last year I did a project with ESA Spark funding. So we did all my elements that you saw from the vertical barrel and the wall system. We did it with a space compound that is antimicrobial. So all the surfaces of all the elements have antimicrobial properties. And we tried to test this and trial this in a university context. So the idea was it might help in cleaning, especially the soilless equipment that you need to sanitize and sterilize after every cycle. But in the end, we learned that you need to work in a clean way anyway, regardless what type of equipment, and if you have the super expensive antimicrobial stuff. So to cut it short, this was a super expensive project. And in my business plan, I tried to calculate with a normal gardening season, but 2023 was a little weird. So the gardening season turned out to be just half. I don't know what happened. Something happened. And so I was really in trouble as a one-person company with making everything possible financial-wise. So this was my biggest challenge. So ideally, what I would recommend is that you do this with a larger company that supports you, or where you can secure sponsoring the right way, so you can also pay the people who help you and work with you, so you can focus on what you're actually doing.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Does anybody, if anybody else has a question, please just raise the voice because I cannot see hands. Any other
Yes.
questions?
Yeah, I would like to ask you, Marco, what motivated you to begin with this line of work? What motivated you to begin to work in this field?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. So I left the company because our son was born in a different city, and I couldn't commute anymore. It was too much work. So I had a lot of time, and I played with aquaponics. And by accident, I stumbled into the New York City AgTech Week, which is every September, and I can absolutely recommend, because it's all these urban farmers and urban projects who show each other what they have done in the last year, which is super interesting. You get to know New York City very good, but also all these super interesting projects. And I was so inspired by this that I built an aquaponics farm when I came back from scratch, that I ran 2 years with 3 generations of tilapia. And this was also the beginning of the development of the vertical barrel, because I needed something to grow more plants in my very confined space, and the fish were growing and made a lot of fertilizer. So I had to have more plants and balance. And then I couldn't find anything, and just started with some industrial yogurt jars with some glue and drilling and hot air. But soon I discovered, if I want to make this vertical barrel a reality, I need to have more precision and go for a real prototype that I injection mold. So this was the story and the motivation. And once I had version 1, of course, there were challenges, and then there was version 2 and version 3. I ended up being in an accelerator program in 2017, which really gave it a push. And what was also interesting is I could go to a lot of horticulture shows and be in startup areas. That was also really cool and exciting, because I got to know the industry and a lot of people who helped, supported, bought my equipment and so on. So this was motivating in itself. And all this smart city movement came afterwards.
So are there any recurring events that we can follow? Or would you recommend some universities or
yeah, there's so many at the moment, and it mixes a little also with this smart city movement, where you have lots of other topics like energy, mobility, and so on. But if you're really like to look more into urban farming, I would totally recommend that you try and get some tours from some aquaponic farms, even also larger farms. Maybe in your surroundings, you have the opportunity, just give them a call and ask if it would be okay to get a tour of the farm, and then you see how this works and you hear a lot, and this is inspiring a lot. And maybe if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 farms that you've visited, you have a good idea what it's also about in the urban area, where you have much less space and other constraints. But maybe access also to other things that you don't have in the big farm.
Thank you. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions if anybody wants to ask something.
I can ask one.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for your insightful presentation, and I wish you good luck with your future endeavors in this sector. I would like to ask that, do you see a shift in the cities to have more projects on vertical farming, or the investments in the cities, especially metropoles?
Yeah, it's definitely evolving. So I see more and more grants and initiatives, and like I said in my little talk, there's lots of positions being opened that deal with it. And different cities do it completely differently. There's some that are super advanced, and it's always, when you take a closer look at it, it's always they are advanced because the activists are in the city council already and don't have to stay in front of the mayor house and knock and say, hey, we want to do something. And then he doesn't open for as long as he can, but finally he will open because all the cities around him do this, and his mayor friends do it already much better. So it's a matter of time, and you have to be on the hunt for these programs. And if you have good connections to your city council, maybe you can be the spark to initiate such projects. It's always the challenge to get a good space where you also have visibility, because then other people, citizens, see this, and then they can make some good PR and write some articles and tell their mayor friends, hey, we are doing this here, what are you doing? So you have to start there, but it's evolving, it's coming. So I feel it coming.
Yeah, thank you.
We have 1 more question in the chat. What do you think would be a way for a more sustainable food production in the future?
It's a mix. It must be diverse. As I said, we need the vertical farms too. We need traditional agriculture. We need a wild mix. Proficiency in the citizens, that they also know how to grow microgreens themselves. It's actually pennies. If you've seen this once and you understand, oh, I need a spray bottle, and cilantro is difficult. Okay, I have to soak the seeds before, otherwise it's very uneven or no germination. And you learn it with the simple stuff in the beginning, be open for it, and then if we can manage to have really diverse production and sourcing, we will get the resilience. We can use all the nutrients that we have in the urban metabolism. We just need to do this in a clever way and maybe try something else, and if it doesn't work, do it some other way. It's holistic.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to wrap up with this, thank you again to our speaker, Marco Tidona from Aeroponics. Thank you for your time and for your presentation. Very good, very interesting. And thank you everyone for taking part in this webinar. And please keep posted for future webinars that we will have on the same topic of vertical farming and entrepreneurship for youth. And thank you again to everyone. Thank you, Marco.
You're welcome.
Thank you and bye-bye.